Welcome to the Woodpreneur Podcast, the best podcast for the business and marketing side of the sawmill, lumber, and wood industry. What's a woodpreneur? If you have a business where you make money as a woodworker, sawmill owner, selling slabs, or a content creator, then you're a woodpreneur. My name's Steve Larosiliere, and I started Woodpreneur Life, Acres of Timber, and the Woodpreneur Podcast just for makers, wood entrepreneurs, and small business owners just like you. We're on a mission to empower thousands of wood businesses to grow sustainably and put out great products. Each week, I interview makers, sawyers, content creators, and 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs that know the wood industry inside and out. With topics covering everything from the urban lumber movement, sustainable sourcing and design, we'll discuss the ins and outs of how to grow, monetize, and fully immerse yourself in the woodpreneur lifestyle. If you're a hobbyist, a full-time wood business owner, part-time entrepreneur who wants to become a content creator, or quit your day job to pursue your dreams, the Woodpreneur Podcast is just for you. Thanks so much for listening. Now enjoy this episode. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by Woodpreneur Life. We are the premier business, blog, and media channel for all things wood-related, lumber, sawmill. If you want to learn how to grow your wood business and you want to learn and connect with the wood community, check out woodpreneurlife.com. Hey, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur Podcast. This is your host, Steve. I hope you're doing well. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. This is the last podcast episode of 2021. I can't believe it. It's pretty nuts this year. If I think back to this past year, actually for me and my agency and a lot of my clients, this was like a record-breaking year. A lot of my clients, and you heard me talk about them, they've been on the podcast. I've had 3 people go full-time this year, like quit their job during a pandemic to go all in on their passion and their business, their wood business, their woodpreneur business. I'm super proud. Some of my brand clients just had great years. It kind of gave me the reminder that the outside world shouldn't really dictate what happens in your inside world and in your business, right? Like you only fail when you decide to give up, and failure is a verb, not an action. And so I've encountered a lot of woodpreneurs that, they're afraid, and it's true. It's like you're afraid of failure. And I just found that like the more risk you take, especially like calculated risk, the more successful you become. And part of that really comes down to like who you surround yourself with, right? Like I feel like I've mentioned it a bunch of times this past year, is that like, do you have a partner, you have a spouse, you have somebody in your life, if you're not in a relationship, but if you have people around you, friends, family that like literally believe in you, right? Like, and can give you that support and believe and tell you that you can do it. And, like, even with the Woodpreneur method, right? I've talked about like the Woodpreneur method. And if you paid attention, it's branding, community, sales. And I decided this year that I was going to add mindset to it, because I believe that there's like a Woodpreneur mindset. There's just like a belief that you have to have in yourself, and belief in, how you obsess about putting out amazing, good products, right? Like you obsess over sanding, obsess over milling, obsess over like, having the right edges, right? The right inlays, the right dovetail, like all of those things. Like that's how you have to be with your business and in your life and in your belief that you will succeed, right? And so, I'll just run through them too. So like, that's literally the first thing that I want to talk about. It's just having the right mindset. Oftentimes, like, found that the most successful people don't even care about the news, right? Like they don't care what's happening outside, because oftentimes when you are obsessing and thinking about what's outside of you, whether it's the government, whether it's politics, whether it's pandemic, like all these things that happened this past year, right? What that does, every ounce of energy that you put on other things takes away from your business. So literally every single one of my clients won this year, right? Even the ones that were struggling, they still managed to win, right? They still managed because they just kept putting more and more faith into themselves and taking more and more risk and believing in themselves. So, that's what I want to talk about. The next thing is the branding. The thing that I found this past year is there were people that really kind of stepped it up, and it was great to see online, like investing in logos, investing in putting, turning the camera on themselves and talking about themselves, telling their audience, building their audience around them, right? Like just putting their logos on their shirts, stickers, hats, like all, like actually believing that you are a brand, right? Like, showing up and creating content, like you're serious. Like that's the level of belief. That's the level that you have to have in your business in order for you to succeed. And in community, oh man, I met so many amazing people this past year that are really, whether it's commenting, whether it's sharing, or literally picking up the phone or sending voice messages to people and sharing what is working, what is not working. Like I had a call. Oh man, I had a call yesterday. An old client picked up the phone and called me. And I happened to be working in my basement shop, and I picked up and I was like, "Hey," and he is one of the people that quit his job this year. And one of the things that he did was he encountered another one of my clients that lived in the same town. They live 15 minutes away from each other. And they essentially do the same thing. Both have mills, both had a kiln, both make tables, right? And they decided to partner up together. Like they each have their own business. They both focus on different things, but which kind of showed me that like there is enough money, and I've said this, there's enough money and enough business out there for you to thrive, right? Like, and to take the metaphor of take the metaphor of nature, right? Nature is abundant, it provides, right? There's trees all over the place, right? There's nature, it's everything. Like you have to believe that there's more than enough money for you to succeed. And you know why? It's because as long as IKEA and as long as Pier 1, as long as West Elm is selling furniture, there's business out there for you. There's more than enough business. Lots of people don't want store-bought stuff. They don't want big box stuff. They want stuff from you. They want to know. And so for me, when he told me that, and actually he told me this and it made my day, and like this is a little bit of a humble brag, but he was like, Steve, I want to thank you so much for all that you do for the community and how you've impacted my life and my business. And, I'm excited to take my business to the next level next year. And thank you. You know what I mean? And so like, it felt good. And it also reminded me that like, I'm even more part and more dedicated to the Woodpreneur community. And that kind of story is something that I'm addicted to. And I'm really excited about just helping more people succeed doing what they love, right? And then the last part beyond community is sales, right? And so, I had this great conversation with this guy, actually, Mahoney Woodworks. I don't mean to shout him out, but like, I had him on the podcast. He was relatively new. He did general contracting, woodworking stuff, and he makes beautiful cutting boards. And on my podcast with him, you should listen to it. I can't remember the name, but look at Mahoney Woodworks. He was so funny. After my advice to him, again, you should listen to it. He sent me a DM. He said, "Hey, thank you so much for reminding me that like I have to get out there and sell." And that means like you should remind people that you have products to sell. It's not just about your epoxy pours. It's not about your, sanding videos and showing your glamour shots of your tables or you milling. Cause like your audience isn't other woodworkers online. That's good for networking, but really you need to connect with your customers. You need to go out there, you need to sell, right? And if you're confident in your stuff, even if you're not confident in your stuff, like just be confident in the fact that people need and they want your products, right? And so, like go out there and sell. Like I'm going to do more stuff this year. So, but so anyway, so I'm going to give you some advice for things to look for and to think about in 2022. I believe that this is going to be a great year. Somehow, some way, I believe that this is going to be a great year for everybody. So first thing is simplify your product offering. Don't do everything. Don't cater to everybody. Like pick 1 to 3 things that you do super duper well. They should overlap with what the market wants and what you love to do, and go all in, right? Like don't do coasters and built-ins and whatever. It's like literally zero in on what you want, right? That's the first thing. The next thing is be a leader in your community. Like the people that get involved in their community, the people I said this online a post ago on my Instagram. It's like, you're not in the wood business. You know what business you're in? You're in the build an audience business so everybody knows who you are business. That's your business. You need to let everybody know who you are. So like, for me, for those that follow, that I've been doing this Purpose Wood Company. I started a wood brand literally to show you that me, a noob, a hack, can make money selling wood. I'm not a hack anymore. I know how to make charcuterie boards and I know how to make some stuff. But like, again, I'm a marketer. I'm a business guy, right? I serve Woodpreneur community, right? Like, and so I just wanted to, like, I had access to tools. I had access to wood. Like I make money. I made money over Thanksgiving, right? It's because, you know why? It's because I have an audience. Even outside of the wood space, you woodpreneurs didn't even buy my stuff. The people outside of the wood community bought my stuff, right? So like literally that's what you need to build an audience. You need to be the most popular person in your town. Find some way so that everybody knows who you are and what you're doing. And you'll always, always, always eat, right? That's to be a leader. And how you be a leader is by showing up to community events, serving on boards of nonprofits, getting involved with your church. Oh, if you're part of a church, if you're part of your kids' school stuff, right? Like, the PTA, like all of those things, be a leader in your community. That's how you're always going to stay busy. The third thing is share your content with more people and think of yourself as a media company. My business partner in Olag and Epoxy is Jake Latvala from Olag and Sawmill. Like Jake, he has a show every single day. Not only does he do stories, but he goes live at 8:00 on his Facebook, and at 8:30, he goes live on Instagram every single day. He actually started to monetize it. People started giving him, he has morning coffee with his Facebook community and his Instagram. Think of yourself as like a morning show, and all he does is talk about what he's working on, talk about his business, that sort of stuff. So that's the 1, 2, 3. That was the third thing. The fourth thing that you need to do in 2022 is set some goals, set some real goals. Don't roll into January 1st thinking that you're going to do the same thing over. Literally set a goal. Say, I'm going to make this amount of money, right? I'm going to, and then break down what you need to do. And so I'm going to tell you some things that you need to do. Like one, you need to get your website up. You need to get your marketing plan figured out, and you need to plug into a community. Don't let this year go by. I know a lot of you are so proud. I figured things out of myself. I rely on word of mouth. I know, I hear all of it. It's all nonsense, right? Nonsense. Don't go at this alone. the best teams, the best individuals out there, the most successful people out there don't go at it alone. And so literally plug into the Woodpreneur community, use hashtag Woodpreneur, like reach out to me. We have I'll talk to you about what I'm doing, but like plug into a community of people. Cause like, listen, last year I connected with my friend at like this time last year. I was like, listen, this is how much I made last year. This is my goal for this next year, 2021. He was like, whoa, I have the same goal. So we talked every single week. That's what you need to do. Find somebody that's on your same level or just a little bit above you and find some way to stay in touch. Because again, you're only going to succeed if you have a plan, you have the right, if you set a goal, you have a plan, and you have people that surround you and support you. All right. So that's my advice. So again, I talked about like the recap this past year, talk about what you need to do next year. Now I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do this next year. So we have a couple workshops. I'm doing a building a furniture brand workshop with Ethan on January 4th. Yep. So you'll see it online someplace. Follow him. His podcast is killing it. He's doing such an amazing job. Super happy for him. We're partners on that. He runs it. I'm going to be doing my marketing plan workshop live in January and February. We're going to be doing that. I'm also going to be launching a secret podcast with Jake with Olag and Sawmill. That you got to really check into what we're doing with Olag and Sawmill. We're really, I mean, again, I don't want to like brag too much, but like the community that we're building around the epoxy business is something that nobody else is doing. And again, if you want to plug into a community where you're all learning and growing together and making money together and building a brand in a community, like you should totally reach out to us. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about that. So on this podcast, my God, the Woodpreneur Podcast, I would have to say between myself and Ethan, we have the fastest growing podcast in the wood entrepreneur space out right now. I challenge anybody to show me their download numbers, but our download numbers are pretty high. I want to see yours. If you think you have a bigger podcast audience, but it's because we consistently show up. We care about what we do and we love the community. And so that's where the bragging is coming from. I'm going to have more guests next year. I think you guys know that like I lost my dad this year. It's kind of been hard, but I've been showing up every week to continue to serving clients. My business did not decline during this hard time. And I learned a lot in the process. So I'm going to have more guests, more diverse guests, international guests, more women, people of color, really show the breadth of the Woodpreneur community on the Woodpreneur Podcast. And again, if you're a furniture designer, they're going to be on Ethan's podcast, Building a Furniture Brand podcast. Super excited about that. And then this new podcast that I'm going to do with Jake is really more about like the day-to-day runnings of running our epoxy business and the community around that, and just the idea around that. So that's that. I'm also so we're at episode 191. And I'm literally only just saying this for you all, but like by the time episode 200 comes out, I'm launching a book and it's going to be called it's going to be, I don't even know the name of it yet. I started outlining it, but sometime in March, releasing a book about the Woodpreneur community. We're also this year going to do an in-person event. Like think about like Comic-Con, but like Woodpreneur Summit, something like that, somewhere in the country. We also have our CRM, which is blowing up and it is changing people's lives. Our software, check out acresoftimber.com. And then if you're listening to this, it's going to be December 30th. Send me an email at steve@acresoftimber.com I have a couple more spots from my mentorship program. And I would love to get a couple of you more into my mentorship program. It's really cool. We meet 2 times a month. I come up with a custom plan for you. I'm like your coach in your head. You can message me and my team anytime. We have a Slack channel. It's like community. We're all gonna like blow up together. So anyway, that's what I got going on in 2022. And then lastly, I just want to thank you all to my clients, everybody that's worked with me this past year, all my friends that I've made that have supported me in the Woodpreneur community. Thanks to my team, Jessica, Brittany, for putting the podcast together. Thanks to Ethan. Thanks to my wife. Thanks to Jake from Olag and Sawmill. Thanks to Alan Nicholson from Lab Surface, our partner there. Yeah, there's so many amazing people that I worked with this past year. You really transformative year for me and my business. And I look forward to 2022. All right. Have a great one. Happy New Year. Thanks for checking out the latest episode of the Woodpreneur Podcast. If you found value and love what you listened to, please subscribe, rate, and review so that more people can learn about our mission and vision. Lastly, join our community, the Woodpreneur Membership Community. It's a marketing and training program to help you market and build your wood business past 6 figures. Give it a test and apply what you learned to your business.